Welcome back, everyone. This is Akanar here with more Talos Principle 2, where last time we headed to the mysterious island. We began our expedition, and we found this mega structure. We don't know who made it. Trying to find that out. And we made our way to the first area here. Solved some puzzles. Solved a bunch of puzzles involving our new RGB converter mechanic, and we lit a beam. We climbed a tower, and we lit the green laser beam, and we now have two more of these that we need to activate, two more towers to activate, and we're going to be making our way to the next area shortly. I do want to quickly check out the golden gates, not a bridge, but perhaps something that has changed since we have completed this area. But we are learning a lot of things. We are finding a lot of we've got this Prometheus, we've got Pandora, and we've got the Sphinx. And the Sphinx in particular was very interesting, but also very confusing. Spoken a lot of riddles, which I am not great at digesting or making sense of. But I think there's also a lot of Greek mythology that she is expecting the player to know. And I am not the best at Greek mythology. I was not really taught Greek mythology growing up. Learned a lot of Bible stories, but not so much in the way of Greek mythology. So maybe this game will be a little bit of an educational process for me. Okay, very interesting. We have two lights that have lit up here on the doors, which to me suggests that these are the stars that we collected. We collected two stars, one from Prometheus, one from Pandora. So we need a lot more stars if we're going to make some headway. I'll be curious to check the golden doors back in the starter area and see if they also are lit up the same way. Do the golden doors all lead to the same place? Or are there different worlds like you had in the original game? So I did do a little bit of exploring off camera as well. I was poking around this absolutely huge area. There is so much ground to cover in this first zone, but I did find something. There we go. There is another little collectible here, similar to the tricycle. What do we have? Unknown machine, an ancient mechanism of unknown functionality. It's impossible to reconstruct the purpose of this device. It sort of looks like some sort of pump. You've got a wheel here, and you've got maybe it's going to turn this pump mechanism. Not exactly sure. Okay, well, that is one of two little sort of secrets. So let's head, we're not gonna head to East 2 just yet. If it'll let me, I wanna go back to the megastructure, and I want to check out a couple of the locations that we first saw. We've got not just the golden gates, but also the temple. Was it an astrological temple? Probably going to have the same progress that we saw on the other. No. This has no progress at all. This has, I think, a different number of circles here. So there are maybe stars in this area to find, or maybe in the megastructure. I'm also taking a look now at some of the inscriptions on here, which I had not done before. Looks like the robot in the simulation with the all-seeing eye of Elohim, Milton the cat. This is maybe Athena, the founder, and the those that were birthed after her. Not sure what this is. This is supposed to be New Jerusalem? Maybe? Of course, if this is New Jerusalem, because these domes here do kind of look similar, but there's a structure here that looks like maybe one of those generators that was in the lab. So maybe this is not, well, I don't know who this is supposed to be, but it suggests that robots are here somewhere on this island. I don't know if they constructed this mega structure, because this is a lot of work. We have had also a clue, though, about this, was it Lithrasir? This other one of the early robots who liked to travel and would often be gone for long periods of time. And Lithrasir came to the island. We have evidence now. We have an audio log from him that shows that he came to the island. There's nothing here at this. It doesn't look like anything has changed. Okay, let's head to the second area. But the Lithrasir had a bunch of followers, right? He had a bunch of devotees, cult members that ran off with him. And it's not just Athena who has disappeared from New Jerusalem. It's also this large group, it sounded like, or a significant group of robots that have also moved on or went on a journey. Supposedly they were going to go to the other end of the earth, but maybe they made their way here. We'll find out, or we'll keep trying to find out. Let's head to the Wooded Plateau. A heavily forested plateau in the mountainous eastern part of the island supports a large deer population.
All right, everybody. I'm sure you're all excited to check out the next site. But while you're there, remember that I'm still trying to fix the rest of the transport system. Maybe there's another one of those labs that Wonka found. If there is, look for more documentation, please.
The views in this game are just spectacular. They have done a marvelous job in just setting up this incredible view of the zone when you enter. And this time we have access to the bridge ring right away. This new bridge mechanic so far has not been too challenging and is probably a welcome change from the Tetris puzzles from the first game, which I have bemoaned and my inability to deal with them at times. We're gonna try and be thorough here. Gonna scour a little bit this way first before we head in the direction of the main puzzles. We already have what looks like a spark over here. Are they is this just another hint? Okay,
I
so
think you just picked up some kind of decryption key. Could try using it on those terminals inside the puzzles.
I could. That is an option. We should maybe try just to see what happens. Since we're at the start of a zone, we can try and see what happens if we fall to our death. Let's do a little. Oh, the screen. I love how the screen cracked there. Hopefully I didn't fuck things up too badly. Okay, it brings us back to the start of the zone here. And we have the hint that we collected still, so it sort of saves your progress. Aha! Another recording of Stratton.
We begin with the self, because that is what determines our existence as individuals. But the self cannot exist without that which surrounds it. The citizen lives within the city, and the city lives within the cosmos. So now we must apply the principle we have discovered to the wider world and ask, if man is like a machine, could it be that the universe is similar in nature? And if so, what follows from that fact?
So the idea being that you're expanding the Talos Principle out from just the atomized individual and looking at the universe as a whole. Is it working with some concerted purpose? It's an interesting thing to think about, because I think the instinctive answer, at least for someone like me, is to say that, you know, you've got a whole bunch of chaos, a whole bunch of disconnected processes that sometimes happen to work together in a strange way. Okay, this is another set of golden doors that also shows that we collected the 2 stars in the first area, and we saw a little bit inside. We had a little bit of a view inside that looked like there was a puzzle. We've got a receiver over here. I see a box. Oh, there's another receiver there. So there's a puzzle to be had, but we've got a long way to go. And maybe there's like a different puzzle in each area that's behind the golden gates. Let's talk to Byron here and get his dialogue.
Tell me, what did you make of New Jerusalem?
It's bigger than I thought it would be. Definitely.
It does look very grand.
So much more to it.
We had such ambitions in the beginning, but if you look closely, you'll notice the cracks. The places where it's all starting to fray. We've lost faith in ourselves, in our humanity. All we need to do now is finish that dome and we'll be trapped in our perfectly neat little tomb.
All right, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
I'm someone who was born a long time ago, when we couldn't afford to romanticize the past and demonize progress, when the value of human civilization was evident because it was so close to being gone. I'm someone who believes that human beings are important, terribly desperately important because intelligent life is rare and precious. I suppose you could say I'm old-fashioned.
What's the role of puzzles in our culture?
When Alexandra Drennan was trying to find a way of creating true AI, she stumbled upon the idea that curiosity and playfulness are core characteristics of intelligence. So she built the simulation around a game, because playing is part of what makes us human. We also retain some of that code, as I'm sure you noticed when you were booting up. Because of that, puzzles have always been important to our culture. To me, they represent the idea that the application of reason can lead us forward. None of which explains why these puzzles are here or who built them, but I think it shows that there must be some kind of intent behind them, perhaps a test.
What do you think about the megastructure?
It's a mystery. Not just because it's technologically far ahead of us, but because we genuinely don't understand its purpose. And I think that's wonderful. It's just what we needed as a civilization.
You and Alcatraz seem to have an odd friendship.
Because we disagree on just about everything, you mean? Well, here's the secret. Al is honest. He believes what he believes because it seems right to him, not because it gives him power over others. I respect that. In fact, I prefer that to someone who agrees with me just because I'm one of the first companions.
What do you make of the Sphinx? The Sphinx was definitely a confusing one to me.
I don't know what she is, ontologically speaking, but those questions she asked reinforce my belief that we're being tested, or perhaps analyzed.
Yeah, I think that's maybe one of the reasons that Pandora is one of the figures that they are giving us. I have been doing a little bit of digging into Greek mythology, and she represents curiosity, I think. And the fact that she was given a box and told not to open it, and yet she couldn't resist. And maybe that's kind of parallels with what we're doing here and what we are in general as a species. Okay, we have a new puzzle here, Loop, and it is a lost puzzle, optional puzzle, and we have our first look at this new driller mechanic. Let's take this, and I think we did get a preview. We got a preview of this back in the lab, and it is very reminiscent of Portal. It's reminiscent of... Well, I was gonna say opening up a hole in a wall, except it's not letting me use it on just any wall. We can't just use it on any wall. Where can we use it is the question. Where is it going to let us actually use the driller? I'm not seeing anywhere that it actually applies yet. So let's, maybe it has to be that. Except we can't drill through a jammer field or a force field. So we need to unlock, we need to open the force field first. We have a connector. What was it called again? The name of the puzzle was... I forget so quickly. Loop. Trying to make a loop, apparently. So it looks like this sort of is it copper plating is maybe where we're supposed to drill through. They're giving us a distinctly colored part of the environment, and you just can't drill through any wall, which maybe would be a little too powerful, a little too difficult to program. That is part of what made Portal so fun, though, is that you could basically open a portal into any wall. But we'll see what we've got going on here. So there we go. We can create a hole, which allows what? Does it allow us to go through? It does not. Okay, so it opens up the way, though, for maybe pieces of equipment, like boxes. Now, how do we get this box? We need to open the hole here is what we need to do. So I think I'm jumping ahead to a later part of the puzzle. What we need to do first probably is use this connector as a pressure plate here, or as a weight on the pressure plate, and then we create the hole that allows us to bring the box through. Is that how this works? We can set that on the other side. We could also shoot this power source through, but we don't really have to do that. We can already shoot that through the purple barrier. I think this is for putting the box through. It feels like that's what they want us to do. So we take that from here now. It's fun to look at new equipment. And this animation is pretty sweet. I like it. I just kind of wish I could go through any wall I wanted. That would also be pretty cool. So now we don't need this on this pressure plate anymore. So we can go and do what? What is the next step here? What is our eventual goal? We're trying to get something through here, but also something through here. So do we need two? It's showing us where the jammer is, or the driller, excuse me, is supposed to be going. We need two things here. We need two pieces of equipment in order to get to the end of the puzzle. We have a fan here, which will blow equipment through a hole that we open up, but then what? Because I need to be able to open up two holes, don't I? Is that, how does the driller can only open up one thing at a time, right? It could be used to create a hole like this. Does the fan work if, like, it, Let's just try one thing at a time. Let's just try getting the box through here first. Now, if we do that, if we send the box through, then we need to bring back one of the other pieces of equipment. It's called loop, which suggests that we need something to come full circle. All right, so let's say we send that through there. Oh, of course. We don't have to, like, blow the equipment all the way through. We don't have to... We can just take it through here like this. And now we can maybe do the same thing with... Well, we can't quite do the same thing with... What are we allowed to do here? How do we get... Now we need to get this back over here, don't we? It does feel like I'm going in circles. I needed to... The dilemma I'm having here is... We need two objects for the two pressure plates at the end of the puzzle. Was I supposed to... The only way to open this force field is with the red beam. The only way to open this force field is with this pressure plate. If I do this, I can create this hole, which does allow me access to the red, but I don't know how that helps me. Like, I need to get this through there, but how do I keep this force field open? If I bring this through, I'm ending up with the same problem. Like, I'm putting this back through here. I'm putting the connector back through, but now how do I get the hexahedron back through? Oh, I need to power this on. That's what I need to do. I needed to put this through here and power it from this side. That's what I was missing out on. I don't go through there myself. Not big enough. They couldn't they couldn't set the jammer. They couldn't tune it such that that hole was more of an ellipse than a circle and allow me to go through. I think I've got it now. I don't know why. First puzzle of the day. Making it a little bit, getting my brain up to speed here. I think we're good though. We take the box through here now. That took longer than it probably should have, but we got the win. Loop successful. Loop complete.
I can't help but notice that many of these structures are not strictly functional. There's a sense of aesthetics, of beauty here. This place might be meant to test us somehow, but perhaps there's more to it than that.
Doing what I normally do here, where I wander off to all the places that I'm not supposed to go, seeing if there's a tricycle stuck in the corner. But this area, this area is feeling a little bit like the first in that there's a lot of ground to cover, but there's maybe not all that much to find. There is a question mark over in this direction though. Aha, there we go. Look at that. Now is this the question mark? The question mark is this thing, isn't it? Yeah, these things are not highlighted on the map. It is kind of nice that they at least give you this outline, the outline that is visible from a pretty significant distance. So you don't have to pore over every square inch necessarily. It did look like a tank. Okay, I was wondering what this thing was. An armored war machine invented by ancient humans used to kill other humans and destroy infrastructure. Despite their crude appearance, great ingenuity went into the creation of these despicable machines. It is something interesting to think about with our new humans, the robots, that there really is no... They've been around now for centuries, but there really is no... we don't have any... At least from what we've heard, there is no history of war or violence. So while maybe they have managed to recreate some parts of human emotion, we've seen characters that have depression. They get connected to their cats. They have humor, or at least they try to be humorous. But so far, we haven't really seen a violent streak in any of them. Keeping connections. We found both of the lost puzzles here to start, which is totally on brand for me. But we have another driller puzzle. Got a red source here and a red receptor. And what else? The eventual goal also has a red receptor. So we have to get the red beam over here. We've got a force field, which opens with the red receptor. And then the two purple barriers. There is a barrier here. So where are we connecting things? If I create a hole here, what does that let me do? That lets me put this in here. Or that really is not very useful. What it does let me do is get access to this. So I can get access to the red, and then I can gain access to red. What are the steps here that I want to do? Because I could connect this just to this guy. I don't have a straight shot at the emitter. I'm losing my connections when I'm left clicking. I forget that. So I can do that, but this is not hooked up to the red receptor yet. And if I move the driller, the beam goes away, obviously. And I can't reach. I can't reach. It felt like it was going to let me go through for a second. Okay, we're definitely not small enough to make it through. I can't see the source from this angle. I can see it from here, obviously, but there's no way for me to get a connector into this spot. I'm liking so far that the level of difficulty feels like it is picked up. Or at the very least, thinking in terms of driller is something that is going to take some time for me. It is interesting that we can change the elevation of this hole. I don't know if that helps at all. We still can't get through it. So I don't know if it's helpful in any way. There's got to be... What has there got to be? How do we get you? Oh, we can keep this connected, can't we? So now what I can do is I can bring this over here and keep these connections. Now the problem is I'm still not sure. Okay, it does reach. It has line of sight. That was the thing I was trying to think. Would I have line of sight to the emitter? And I do. So that is the way that we can. Gotta start thinking in terms of just in terms of Talos Principle again, because you can keep those connections even though your driller wall, your driller hole, I should say, has gone away. Okay, so now this is open, which means I can use... What do I want to do now? What's the next step? The next step is I can connect this. Well, hold on. The next step is I want to get the red to the end. So I need to shoot red over here. And I think the way that we're going to do that is by... We're going to take this here. As I'm looking at it from this angle, we're going to connect this here. And I think this has line of sight to the driller wall. It's hard to see through the purple, but I think that is the driller wall there. So if we back up while we're in line of sight of this, we put this down here. We should be able to now go back over here to this side. We take this out. I think I can lose the connections here. And now we drill here. Maybe there. We can connect there now. Don't quite have line of sight to that other connector, so maybe the pole needs to go toward the right more. Trying to see. Maybe it'll be easier to see where that is now that I have the hole there. Oh yeah, I need to be much more... I should be able to barely see it. Hopefully I can get the correct angle here, but I think we got it. We just hook up the source here. And now I can put them... I can't quite see... No, what I can do is just leave that there. Can I? It only lets me put it in this one spot. I can't angle it to the left or the right. So if I wanted to do this... Well, maybe that'll work. Maybe that'll work. It's actually kind of tough, isn't it? Because if I... Is there a spot where I can actually see them both? I'm not sure. Looks like maybe there is. It does just barely work. It looked like maybe the angle wasn't going to be good enough. But it works. Okay. These driller puzzles, at least the first couple ones, having to think a little bit
I keep thinking
outside of the box.
Why puzzles?
Or outside of the normal
just their
box that I'm used to.
Because of our history? Because the thing about puzzles is they can be solved. But if this is about testing us, what are we being tested for? It can't just be about spatial reasoning.
Our curiosity? Our persistence? You're assuming that this place follows a coherent logic. My impression is that it's full of contradictions.
There's a Sphinx statue over here. And there's a number.
These monuments represent each
Or a
of
set
the
of numbers.
Pandora, the Sphinx, and Prometheus.
Makes sense, I guess.
For a given value of sense.
2, 4, 7, 8. Yeah, I might need a little bit of a hint here what this is about. I guess we have 2 new pieces of research, but we have an E2 engraving found on a Sphinx monument on the wooded plateau. Taking a reference photo in case I want to figure this out later. Okay, 2, 4, 7, 8. Maybe it's referring to the puzzles here. We have 8 puzzles altogether. Maybe there's something special about 2, 4, 7, and 8. We'll think about that one. What is the other research that I found? The Prometheus spark. Okay, Prometheus seems to want to help us succeed one way or another. The mythological Prometheus was a trickster, and it seems his holographic equivalent has similar tendencies. These sparks seem designed to allow us to skip puzzles, a function which appears to run counter to whatever intent there is behind this place. Still, the terminals for using them are right there in the puzzle, so Prometheus must have some legitimate authority in all of this. Sparks can be recovered by properly solving the puzzles. You can recover the sparks. Okay, that's something I had not thought would be the case. I thought you just, you would use your hint like you had in the first game. But you can get these back by solving the puzzles? They allow you to skip puzzles. Oh, okay, I get it now. So it's not a hint. It's not even a hint. That's kind of boring. That feels not that fun. Why would you want to skip puzzles? Hello?
What can I do for you, 1K?
What do you make of the Sphinx?
Whatever that being is, it told us that we stand before the fire. That can only be a warning, and I think we should take it seriously. We don't want another New Alexandria.
All right, let's actually check the very first puzzle that they intended us to do. Quantum tunneling. We may have done the hardest puzzles in the zone, so it might not be the driller mechanic itself that is tough for me to think about. But it may be that we chose the toughest versions. All right. Now, I had not thought about this. Something that did not occur to me yet, which they, I think, maybe are giving us the idea to think about here. No, okay. Cannot take driller through its own hole. I was going to say, that would probably break things in a way that we're not supposed to. But what we can do is we can use one driller to drill out the other, right? We can use each one to free the other. So you can't take a driller out of its own hole. Good to know. Now what? We have another driller wall over here, which we can use to take you through. It feels a little bit like jammers, actually, what we're doing here. This is very much a jammer style mechanic, but we're just doing it with walls instead of force fields. So new mechanic, yay, but also not really. At least for this puzzle. So the number 1 puzzle definitely had a different difficulty compared to the first 2 lost puzzles. But that's fine. That's what we expect. Oh goody, a private message. A private message here. We love our private messages from Doge. Oh god, connecting you to a friend. I've relayed your responses to my friends. I'm not even sure you really have friends. I feel like maybe you're the one making up all these questions, and you just want us to think that you're popular. They've reached certain conclusions regarding your character. Would you like to hear them? Sure, go ahead. Now you're new, so let me fill you in. Your arrival marks the moment of New Jerusalem's maturity, and there are differences of opinion about what it ought to become. Naturally, there are people working quietly behind the scenes in an advisory capacity, trying to guide our city to prosperity. People who know things which would only scare or confuse the average citizen. I have 5 such friends who expressed to me their interest in getting to know you. What the hell is this, like the Illuminati or something? Who are these people? I can't tell you their names, but I can tell you a little about them. The first is an engineer by trade, tends to see the world as a puzzle to be solved. The second is a scholar of some repute, thinks the big questions have answers in our code. The third is, well, it's hard to pin down, a practitioner, let's say, of the esoteric arts. The fourth is a member of the political establishment. And the fifth, well, the less I say about them, the better for everyone. So is there someone you think would make a good match? Oh God, you're asking me to... What exactly are you asking me to do here? You want me to match with somebody? I have to say, I don't really like this kind of a game. Why don't you tell me Why don't you tell me which one is most interested in me? Your answers to my questions and our observations of your behavior elsewhere has given us a massive amount of data. It's clear there's only one person that I should put you in touch with. You're strongly attuned to the nature of good and evil and committed to doing what you believe is right. Your support would mean a great deal to my scholarly friend. He's dedicated his life to the understanding of ethics and is sure we can flourish under proper moral guidance. Are you happy for me to put you in touch? Sure. Fine. I guess I'm a little bit more scholarly, huh? Get involved behind the scenes, not what it seems. Okay, I'll send an introduction in due course. I am so looking forward to it. I can't wait to meet this mysterious scholar. You can probably sense a little bit of frustration on my part because I think I've talked about this already, but there's a point in the game where I just kind of get into puzzle mode. And the game continually wants to not just have puzzle mode, but also talk mode. Talk to all these characters. Talk to, you know, these mysterious people through your social media. And some level of talking is fine. Some level of interaction and getting, you know, more background to the story and the philosophy of things is fine. But I just kind of wish it was paced out a little bit differently. Like the first game was more about, the first game had, you know, one terminal basically per zone. You would go into a zone that had like, I don't know, 7 or 8 puzzles, and you'd have one terminal, and you would read like the 2 or 3 things on that terminal, and maybe you'd interact with Milton as well, and then that was it. And this game, it feels like there is a terminal or an interaction or something after every single puzzle. And sometimes that feels a little bit, you know, cumbersome. But I will stop complaining about that portion of the game. For now, let's go ahead and work on mutual connections. We've got several driller walls here, as well as a force field. We've got a jammer. And we've got a power source that seems to be permanently connected here, which we could go ahead and open up with this. So we wouldn't need the jammer for this door. So we could use the jammer somewhere else, like here. And then once we've done that, we can use the driller over here, potentially, or here. We can use it now to kind of look through and see what we're aiming for. Where is the eventual goal? Where is the eventual goal? I kind of need... Let's use the jammer here. And maybe that's what we're supposed to do, is we're supposed to bring the jammer through one of these holes. Well, no, but how would we get through here if we do that? What exactly are we doing? Is there another piece of equipment? No, there's eventually another force field that we need to... So the dilemma that I'm having here is not enough jammers. Right now, I kind of need this jammer or this force field, don't I? Because that's my only way out of this area, out of this little spot. Is there another jammer or driller that I'm missing here? I can't take this. No, I'm being an idiot. I'm being a dingus. You just put the jammer in a different spot, right? And now you can take it from there. Don't be a dingus. Always remember, kids, don't be a dingus. Now what? Same sort of deal? Do we need the jammer through here? I don't know if we can send the jammer through, but do we even need to? We don't need to. We just need something on the pressure plate to get us to the end. Open sesame. Cool.
You know something that's weird about these puzzles? They're not replicas of the simulation puzzles, like the ones in the museum.
Wasn't there an artist who did an exhibition a few years ago that involved new puzzles of some kind?
That was Barzai. It was called Trials of an Imagined Past. I tried to get you to come along. You thought it would be boring.
Were they similar?
No, not at all.
Was it boring?
I thought it was interesting.
World Spirit. Author unknown. LOSEXT1. The world spirit, what is it that drives historical processes? It's easy to dismiss the idea of the great man, or the great woman for that matter, when clearly so much is determined by resource distribution, pre-existing political structures, and the randomness of the universe itself. But is there no space at all for the individual in all of this? Are there not moments when, in Hegelian fashion, an individual may represent the world spirit itself? Was Napoleon history on horseback, or not? Or is that itself another form of determinism? Here's that number again, 5358. We've seen this several times. I'm wondering if this might be a person. From Augustus to Napoleon, from Lincoln to Lenin, there are individuals whose actions seem to drive rather than merely be driven by history. They make bold choices for good or ill that transform entire societies. Or do they? We like to blame them for their failures, but are they not ultimately just the expression of a historical moment? But if they are, where is the space for human agency? It sometimes seems to me that all of human history has been that one struggle to carve out a space for free choice against the tides of history. And heroes and tyrants, pick and choose examples as you will, are equally both a reflection of that. Our great goal then ought to be to extend that freedom to the maximum number of people, to become captains of our own fate as much as that is possible in this universe. And then we got Founding 2. From Hypatia's Journals, Volume 1, The Founding of New Jerusalem, Day 14. Melampus and Yemo went back to the dam to get more charging equipment. They've not returned yet, which means that we've stretched a little thin, but since we're still posting guards at all times, but those large herbivores haven't come back yet. And at any rate, Eustathius assures us that they're non-aggressive, but it's better not to take any chances, not when there's so few of us and so many of them. Athena and Cornelius and Eustathius spend most of their time drawing up plans and arguing, in a friendly manner, but arguing still. The rest of us are managing to tune them out pretty well. It's like background noise after a while. We started construction on the first habitat. It's going to be a temporary structure for now, but we'll all be glad to get out of the rain. And we got another recording of Trevor. Oh boy, I can hardly wait for this one.
So, what are you doing here, Trevor? Why are you trying to save the world? Well, look, I think humanity is awesome. I love humanity. As a species, we're great. I mean, our track record is pretty mixed, but have you seen everyone else? I mean, what did you do today, animal? Oh, I ate some leaves, sniffed my own butt, crapped myself, and went extinct. Or, you know, I tore this other animal limb from limb, sniffed my friend's butt, crapped myself, and went extinct. They really don't do anything interesting. I mean, you don't see animals directing Big Trouble in Little China. Birds can go tweet, tweet, but it ain't exactly the White Album. I mean, they can't even make a good cheeseburger, for Christ's sakes. They have no art, no cuisine, no pleasure. Animals are nice to look at, but you wouldn't want to be one. Except maybe a cat. I could be a cat.
Reminds me of a friend of mine that would make fun of the people who would marvel over the intelligence of dolphins. Yeah, dolphins are so smart. They're just as smart as humans, except where are all the dolphin cities? Where are all the dolphin skyscrapers? All right, we have the next puzzle here, backup. What are we doing with backup? We have several... We have an RGB converter for the first time in this area. We have a connector, and we can get access to that through this wall if we use our driller. I think we can. I was going to say, is it just out of reach? So we have a blue source there, which we can use to open this up. Now we have our converter. There we go. So we have our converter. We need a green in order to reach the goal. So we need both red and blue into our converter here. So this actually looks like it's pretty straightforward. We just get this connector hooked up to red. Open this up. And then we get another connector out of here. And now Okay, maybe it's not immediately straightforward, because how do we get both red and blue to the converter? We need to get the blue, either the blue or the red. How do we do this? It feels like we need to open... We need to open one of these doors without using the driller. Except I'm not sure that there's an angle that I can do that. These are... There's fencing here that is intentionally blocking off my ability to just power one of these without the driller. Because it feels like you need at least one. At least one open. No, you don't. You actually just need... You do need to shoot this beam around, and you need 2 connectors to do it. But you can do it like... You need to temporarily connect this here, but you also want to connect it to this. Now, when I close this driller, now when I close that wall, I still have this open, I still have access to red, and now I can open up access to blue. Because I don't need to open up, I don't need to power the blue anymore. I just need to open up access to it so that the RGB converter can have access to it. That's all we need. Not too bad. Just needed a little backup.
Any progress on the particle clouds, Melville? It's pretty clear they're integral to how all of this functions.
I've gathered a lot of data, but I still have a lot of numbers to crunch before I can give you an answer. And I can't guarantee that my answer won't be another question. I'm glad we don't get headaches.
What is this? Turn switch off, turn switch on. What exactly is that? That's the first time that I've seen one of these. Have these been behind all of the puzzles? There is one here as well. So what exactly does that do? Is it somehow changing my map in some way? So that... Turn switch off. Well, you know, I'm gonna follow the logic that I learned a long time ago from playing the Myst games, is that when you find a switch and you don't know what it does, leave it in the position that it was not already. So I think these are off by default. So we're going to start turning them on. So I'm actually going to... I might actually backtrack eventually to the previous area. Yeah, it doesn't light the lights back up. Or it doesn't turn the lights back on. So I don't know what that is supposed to be for. But it's got to have some function, right? So we'll turn on the one for puzzle 1. And we'll see if those... They must have some effect somewhere. But we'll just try to start turning those on by default. Oh, what is this? There's a connector here that is trying to connect to something. There's a system of these. Is that connected to the switches that we just enabled? Or do they connect back to the Sphinx puzzle? No, it keeps going past the Sphinx puzzle, doesn't it? It goes way over there. What the hell? Like, it's a dotted line right now, so it's not actually active? Well, we're supposed to be shooting something here, I guess. Maybe that connects over to... Is this the Golden Gate puzzle? No, this is puzzle 8. It is a mystery that we will hope reveals itself in time as we make our way in the direction of puzzle 8. Here's Pandora. And it looks like maybe she has the same sort of gimmick as she did before. You're supposed to get the green laser pointed to her. But from where? Oh, there's our first deer. Look out, Melville. Just runs right by. Okay. All right, here is number 4. Placement. Let's see what we're dealing with. So we have a switch to a fan. And we have a driller. There is a connector back over here. We can get with there. We can use the driller to get access to. And we need to deactivate this force field. How do we do that? No, maybe we're not deactivating that. Maybe we are walking across. No, okay, I see it now. There is a blue receptor up here, which is blocked currently by a driller wall. So let's get access to our connector. Whoops. Get our connector out of here. So now we have a connector and a driller. The fan can be used to get access to this blue source. There is a driller wall on the other side of here. There's a box. There's a pressure plate. The pressure plate probably opens the force field. So we could open that with the driller. We use the driller to open this. And then we can put the connector there. And now we can take out the box. And now we go back over here, take out the connector. And now I think we set up the connector with this and the power source. And then we want to put this on the box and float it up. Is that good enough? Almost, because we'd still need this to unlock that. And ta-da! Let's go. Okay, so the 2 lost puzzles were fairly involved, fairly difficult, but the numbered puzzles, not too much of a struggle so far. New interface content available. The Progenitor Portrait Series. Oh, that's actually beautiful. This is who, okay, Alexandra Drenin, right? The Progenitor. This is my latest in the Portrait Series. I've always had a deep respect for the Progenitor, Alexandra Drenin. She didn't just create the founder and save humanity, she also tried to instill in us a sense of beauty and wonder. It was good to be human, Alexandra Drenin. As usual, please keep in mind that we should focus on engagement with the work. Don't ask yourself whether it's good or bad, but how it makes you feel. Beautiful work, Rodam. Gives me a bittersweet, wistful feeling. She must have been a great person. To me, it really captures her bravery in the face of what the cosmos had thrown at her. It's well done, but I'm not sure it's appropriate for us to depict the Progenitor in this way. Oh no, Thekla. Get out of here. Thekla, it's a beautiful piece of art. It is absolutely beautiful. Your painting powerfully evokes her belief in a bright future. This painting makes me sad. It does not make me sad. I'm going to say it evokes her belief in a bright future. I like this one. This is actually a good social media post. Thank you, 1K. She really did believe we would build a better world, didn't she? Her words always inspire me. They do. You should try listening more carefully. She wanted us to reach for the stars, not mope around worrying about the sins of our ancestors. The Progenitor spoke in metaphors. The stars are within us. Give me a break. Let's not derail this thread, okay? Thanks. Yes, typical. That's where the social media starts to go downhill. You actually go the discussion going off the rails because each of them are sort of talking past each other and entrenched in their own viewpoints. But I love the painting. Beautiful painting. It can be difficult to tell where you've been before. They do have some structures. Here, we did find something. I was going to say, this structure does look like I haven't been here before. It does not feel familiar. So they do provide you with some landmarks to help things stand out. So we have 3 of these sparks now, but I don't really want to use these. If they're used to skip puzzles, like that feels like that's just going against the game. Why would I ever want to do that? All right, let's check out number 5. Duet. Got a fan. Powered by a switch. Behind a force field. But there is a driller wall. The only drillers we have access to are behind here right now. But I can open this wall from over here, which is pretty cool. I can also open this wall. If I open that wall, can't really do anything yet. But I can maybe shoot the jammer over here. That's maybe what I'm supposed to do. So I guess we could reach this switch from behind the wall, couldn't we? So we need to drill that open so we can actually reach the switch. I think is what they're trying to get us to do. So we put this all the way here. So that maybe we can reach through and get the switch. Nice, okay. Starting to get a little bit more accustomed to thinking about all the things that the driller can help us do. So now we could jam this if we wanted to, but that just sort of gets us back out here. Which we can already do with this ladder. So what we really want to do is probably jam this. Maybe. Now, I should say, though, actually, this doesn't do nothing. It does allow us to sort of move back and forth in here. Because now we don't really need... We have a ladder to get out. So what I could do, I think what I had thought about doing before was opening up this wall. We could open up this wall. We can drill this wall like this. And that should give us the ability to hit this force field here with the jammer. I think that's what that allows us to do. So we can hit that. We can climb over the ladder. I guess I have to use the E key to do that. And now that we're here, now I can bring the driller out, right? Now I can just set this here. I have a driller out in the open, which allows me to drop this. And we're not done yet, though, because I need really to be able to drill through here. Is that what I want to do? I want to drill through this wall. What does that let me do? If I drill this wall, it doesn't feel like it does much unless it lets me reach the end of the puzzle. I don't think so, though. A little too far away. We need to get through 2 force fields. One of them can be done with a pressure plate. Is there some other... Can I gain access to the other... Can I gain access to this guy somehow? I could, couldn't I? If I drill this hole from this side, now I don't need this driller here anymore. And then this is still being jammed. I can actually bring both through. Awesome. That is probably what we needed. Because now... I still need to jam this one, though, don't I? And I'm not sure if I... Not sure... Oh, I can maybe bring... the... Ooh, this might work. If we create a hole here, I can bring the jammer through here, and now I set that down and I jam this side, and that lets me jam that force field. Now we're through. Awesome. Okay, these are really fun. These are starting to get really fun. Not too difficult just yet, but we're still in the early stages of the game. But I'm having fun. They are definitely recapturing the the puzzle solving satisfaction from the first game. It was definitely one of the highlights. Or it was the heart of the game, not just the highlight. The puzzle solving and the mechanics and the way they all flow together. I'm loving that feeling that they're recreating here. Oh, we might have found a lab. We've got a I think this is just a generator that's supposed to power up the lab. That's all this is for. Each of them seem to have one of those.
Looks like you found another lab.
No shit, Sherlock. I swear, some of the
that's a lot bigger than
obvious
I expected.
statements.
What were they doing here?
And who are they?
I think that is the big question. Who are they? I think they might be some of us. Are there 2 terminals here? Okay. Let's start with this terminal real quick here before we get down to the lab experiment. Look at that closer. Untitled draft. Saint Adewald identified the Tetromino with the tetragrammaton and the Greek word for God, because to him, the mathematical properties of the Tetromino reflected God's ability to reshape the world without breaking its laws. Elohim, in his desire to impose meaning on the simulation, which was his primary function as a storyteller after all, took Edwald's heretical ideas and integrated them as the sigils of his name. But despite all these layers of obfuscation, there is some kind of truth hidden in all this. The world really is, in a sense, made up of minute parts and can be combined and recombined without breaking the underlying laws. Everything that exists is made of the same fundamental materials, and those materials are brought into existence by the same fundamental functions of reality. And yet, the miracle of existence is that we are not all one, but are in fact radically different and separate. New Alexandria, from the Book of Reminiscence and Regret by Eustathius. In the early days of our people, a great deal of responsibility fell on my shoulders. There were few of us then, and though we are stronger and hardier than any human, we are not invincible. The world was an overgrown ruin, and our resources extremely limited. It was a harsh time, but I felt passionate about the work, fired up by the many sacrifices that had brought us here. From the Ian team to the people of Gehenna, whose code was part of my personality. I see, part of his personality was their code. So the people in Gehenna did not necessarily translate one-to-one out into the real world. I don't think I had realized that yet. I was sort of thinking that each of these processes that would have been running, the one with Faith, Shepard, all these different people that we saw their QR codes in the first game, I thought those would have been individual people that would have made it out here to the real world. But it turns out, it looks like, they were actually, that these robots are kind of amalgamations of those different people from Gehenna, which is kind of a cool concept that they all make up different parts of people's personalities. Bit by bit, New Jerusalem grew. We had to adapt some of the plans Drennan's team had left behind. I don't think they had expected the simulation to take as long as it did, but it was all working. That's when I made a terrible mistake. Thinking it was a way of safeguarding against disaster, I proposed the creation of a second settlement, New Alexandria. As the location was far from the dam that powers New Jerusalem, I attempted to build a thermal power station that would take advantage of a local gas reservoir. However, I foolishly used geological data from the archive, failing to account for the amount of time that had elapsed. 5 years later, this error led to an accident that leveled the settlement and killed 31 of my fellow citizens. Of all my many regrets, this is the greatest. That's the first that we've heard, I think, of any of these robots or humans actually dying. Very sad, but it does show their mortality as well. Eustathius never forgave himself for this mistake. He drifted away, isolated himself from everyone in New Jerusalem. But was it really his fault? Yes, he made a mistake, but why was the entire weight of the New Alexandria colony placed on his shoulders? A simple process of review and discussion could have prevented the entire disaster. Doesn't that mean New Jerusalem as a whole is at fault? He did his best. I feel sorry for him. But the dead remain dead, and that has to be faced. Ethics of extinction. If a species we consider beautiful and remarkable goes extinct, we consider that a great evil. Dolphins, for example. Speaking of dolphins, if dolphins go extinct, that's a great loss. If humanity causes dolphins to go extinct, that's a crime. But if Yersinia pestis, the bacterium that causes bubonic plague, goes extinct, is that an equally great loss? If not, why not? To nature, there's no difference. It's all just life forms. The only moral framework that allows us to choose between dolphins and the plague is a human one. What about a species going extinct without anthropogenic factors? Extinction is the norm. If one day dolphins are no longer capable of competing with other species, should we let them go extinct? When the sun finally dies and all life goes extinct, will that be a tragedy? If we can prevent it, should we? If you believe that extinction is acceptable when nature does it, but not when we do it, then you don't actually oppose extinction. You don't believe that dolphins are inherently valuable, that they deserve to live and thrive. You just oppose human control. You oppose our ability and responsibility to choose. An interesting way of looking at things. I do find the various perspectives interesting to ponder. What do we have here? What is this? So what are we doing? We've got a red laser that is turning into a blue laser. And then a blue laser that is turning into a red laser. Okay, that seems like a much simpler sort of converter. That's very easy to understand. Just a straight up inverter, I guess, so to speak. Seems to be our next piece of tech that we're going to be unlocking. Stratton ideas. A fragment from Stratton's The Origins of Thought, as quoted in a commentary by Simplicius of Cilicia. To say that material things are brought into being by ideas is to flatter ourselves, which is an error philosophers are particularly prone to, because it raises those who think above those who do. Then what is the truth that does not flatter? That the reverse is true. Ideas are brought into being by matter, and so each man's ideas are shaped by the world that surrounds him, as clay is shaped by its mold. Those who live in mountains fear cold. Those who live in deserts fear thirst. The Athenians are shaped by Athens, and the Lacedaemonians by Sparta. I'm probably completely butchering that. And likewise, it is for all peoples. But may ideas, if we take each man to be an idea, not by deliberate action alter the shape of the mold, as you put it? To discover a method for accomplishing this is the chief purpose of philosophy, my friend. Footnotes: the newly discovered Heraclean manuscript, likely a lost part of the Baroque collection, contains an additional passage that differentiates between pneuma, the individual mind or spirit, described as an energy arising from matter, and ideas, which are produced by the pneuma as it interacts with the material world. It feels like they might be talking a little bit about this term noema. Maybe. I'm not sure if those are related. I did take the liberty of looking this up because it did sound like an interesting... We've got this noema project, which I was saying incorrectly before. Gonna keep working on my pronunciations here. But noema is this idea, I guess, in philosophy that has to do with, like, it's related to, there's like a noesis and a noema. The noesis is... It's a mental act. It's like when you like something or when you judge something, that act of liking or that act of judging is the noesis. And then the object of that act, the object of your like, the thing that you like or the thing that you judge or the thing that, you know, whatever the object of that mental act is, that's the noema. I'm not exactly sure I understand it all and how it relates especially to what we're doing in the game, but they have whatever this project is and these trials that we're going through is related to mental acts, something along those lines. There's a lot of philosophy and phenomenology here that I don't necessarily fully grasp. Either way though, trials 108 through 242? Holy moly, how many trials are there? Version 0.05 deployed successfully. Reversion to previous settings fixes malfunction, but what was the error? Coding systems improved. Version 0.06 deployed successfully. Significant improvement to disassembly. New lab space carved out. Oh, maybe it's like the iterations of these particular puzzle mechanics. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe there's not actually 505 or 719 puzzles. They just went through different trials to iterate and get this new driller or this new whatever this next one is going to be called. That's probably what it is. And they finally got the version where it worked. And then we have a schematic, which I think unlocks... Whoa. Oopsie. What happened? Uh-oh. Oh, shit. Sleep mode. Sleep mode.
The world is a wonderful place.
Miranda.
Every day we take another step forward. Every day we come closer to the truth. The closer we get, the more I can see the beauty of the universe, the intricate perfection of its mechanisms. I am a machine, and the universe is a machine. Every part of me serves a purpose, or I could not be myself. I could not be Miranda, because that specific person could not exist without those specific parts and their specific functions. In the same way, every part of the universe serves a purpose. I think that is what we were meant to discover here.
Holy shit. What the hell? Okay. Experience a data stream overload.
1K. You just connected to an extremely powerful data stream. Are you all right?
I don't know. That was a little disconcerting. But it did feel also like a vision.
Yes, you were streaming. We all saw something. You're lucky it didn't fry your motherboard. Please, everyone, let's be careful with these terminals from now on.
Yes, let's all try not to die. More importantly, who the hell is Miranda?
That's
There's
my
no
question.
one by that name in New Jerusalem. I just searched the database.
Nobody like that in New Jerusalem. So it must be one of the people who built this place, perhaps? Maybe it's a nickname. Your guess is as good as mine. I think it might be one of the people who built this place.
A new person. Someone we've never heard of before. Someone born outside the city. We have to find out more.
But where did they come from? And how many people does it take to build something this huge?
Like I said, we need to find out more.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that I'm about to fix another part of the transport system. Thanks for the files, 1K. I hope they didn't fry your brain.
They might have fried it just a little bit. That was really... I thought it was sleep mode that we had gotten hooked into there temporarily. But it was some sort of vision. Miranda, a new person that we've never met before. And also, there was what looked like the megastructure was depicted there. That was another thing I noticed. It looked like the overall architecture of the simulation, one of the Egyptian worlds that we would have visited, but the megastructure was also depicted there. So what the hell is going on? And here's puzzle 6. Okay, I was gonna say, where is puzzle 6 at? But we have found it. Passage. Let's see if we can figure this one out. New interface content. I just started doing a puzzle. Let's wait until we're done with the puzzle and we'll check the interface. Puzzle time first. Too many of these little... This is part of why I am not a social media person, and I try to avoid notifications on my phone in general, because you got to stay focused on what you're doing, you know? You can't just keep jumping from thing to thing just because the pointy laser, the shiny laser pointer shows up. So we've attached a fan here, and this activates that. And we've got another fan over here. That shoots us to, okay, a driller, which we can take with us, or we can set here. But we can also maybe drill a hole at the same time. Where do we want to drill a hole? I haven't really looked around for driller walls. So maybe for now, we're just going back out, or going over here to another driller. So we have a couple different drillers that we could use, but where are we trying to use them? Are the driller walls... There's our eventual goal, which I guess we use this fan to get to. We can't take this driller with us out here, but we could... Oh, it's right here. So there's a hole. So what do we do with that? I can't grab the well, I mean, even if I could jump over there, I can't take the driller to the other side. That's just not allowed. Why is this the driller wall? Why is there a driller wall here? Is there anywhere else? I'm not seeing anywhere else to drill. It doesn't... We'll leave this here for now, but it doesn't quite make sense why that is a thing. I'm not sure exactly what my first step is supposed to be here. We've got... We could take this with us. Maybe that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to take this with us, because then that allows us to put that here. What was this one called again? I always forget the name of the puzzle. But let's check the passage. Trying to make a passage. So maybe we use that. We use the fan to activate that and take that over here. The fan allows us to put the pressure plate on to activate another fan. I am seeing now there is a jammer up here. I had not noticed that before. I just happened to look up here, and I think it is above. I think it is above. Oh, it's above 2 sets. 2 sets of. Wow. So we actually need. We need to drill through twice so that we can get that jammer out. So I need 2 drillers. I don't think. So if we go back over here, I don't think that I am allowed. Oh no, I can. What am I thinking? Of course, I can just jam the other side of this and bring this one out. It's sort of like you've got to start thinking like you would if you had access to 2 jammers. Just automatically climbs the ladder for you. That's kind of nice. But yeah, it's the same way if you had 2 jammers and we're trying to get stuff through a force field. You just need to use those 2 in concert to kind of like block one side and then block the other, so that you can keep moving the jammers through. Except in this case, they're drillers. So now I can just use this here to shoot through there, and now this falls through. Nice. And now what does that do? Now we kind of need our fan back, don't we? And maybe that's all the jammer is supposed to do. The jammer just gives us a pressure plate. We take this up here, and the jammer is used to activate the pressure plate. Can't take the fan panel off there, but this sits here now, and we just take this with us. And now we drill a hole back over here. Drop the fan panel through. And we win. Because we just put one of these on the pressure plate. No, we need... Dang, we do need the jammer. So, this one feels a little more like loop. Because I need to kind of keep displacing. Maybe there was a simpler way to do this. I might have done this the more complicated way. But it feels a little more like loop, with me having to keep sort of playing musical chairs, moving these pieces of equipment from one station to the next, one chair to the next. But I think maybe this does it? Maybe I could have done that more simply, but we got there. And we do have enough now to enter the tower. But we're gonna, obviously, like we did before, try to fully explore first.
It's hard to be sure because it's just a fragment, but I think it's some kind of log or diary.
We finished a new lab today. Some processes are still harder than others, but energy output was up 2,000%. It's incredible how each leap forward enables another. The next iteration of the machine will...
So as we suspected, someone was experimenting here. But experimenting on what? What was this machine they were building?
Maybe it's whatever powers the megastructure.
Mysterious machine, mysterious megastructure. We'll get to the bottom of it. Let's just keep solving puzzles. I did say we were going to check out the social media post after this. The Mystery of Miranda. Okay. Wow, I got an achievement for reading 10 social media entries. I'm so stoked. My day is made. For anyone who missed it, Byron's expedition has recovered evidence of the existence of another person, someone not from New Jerusalem. Who could this be? What does it mean? Maybe there's another city out there. Who says there was only one simulation? Maybe there are thousands of people we've never met. I really hope so. Thekla, there is only one founder. Oh god, the ever-devoted Thekla. I hate to agree with Thekla, but all the historical evidence we have points to that conclusion. There were, I hate to agree with Thekla, don't we all? There were some other attempts, but as far as we know, they all went wrong or failed. There's more that we don't know than there is that we know. That sentence is going to make my brain crash. Why do we think Miranda is from Earth? There's no evidence to support that idea. I'd like to hear more about these other attempts to save humanity. I really don't think it's aliens, Jock. Everything here is obviously related to New Jerusalem. Man, I don't like either of these responses. They're so definitive. Why not just ask a question? Where are the question options? What were the other attempts to save humanity? Some people affiliated with the Institute for Applied Pneumatics tried to set up a secondary site in another dam. But after about a century, the dam collapsed and took whatever was happening inside that system with it. There was also a similar attempt to another organization, but without the test of free will that Alexander Drennan devised but without that test. According to Lithrasir, it never produced a viable mind before it ran out of power. So basically, they tried to do a similar thing where they sort of had like backup systems they were trying to do, but they didn't work out. Could there still be others out there? Of course there could be, right? Theoretically, yes, but even our dam would have collapsed without extensive repairs, and even a nuclear power plant would have run out of fuel by now. I see. Okay. So, back to the puzzle here, which I'll have to check the name of, because I already forgot, as I always do. Eye of the Needle. Eye of the Needle. We have a driller here, which we can activate this with. There's no equipment in here, but there is a driller wall. And there is a piece of equipment here. There's a connector. So let's get that first. Now the connector, there's also a jammer and a box all tucked away in here. So we really want to open up that wall, right? So let's go ahead and activate that. Eventually, I guess we're getting a blue source here. Maybe we also need a jammer. There's the goal over there. Okay. And there's also another driller wall. I'm calling them driller walls because that's what makes sense. There are a whole bunch of other walls that I wish I could drill through. That would be a hell of a lot of fun. So we've got a box which can open this, and then this allows us to how are we getting access to this jammer? This ladder only goes one way. Is this a fence we can open somehow? It doesn't look like it. What is it that I am... How do I even reach that? There's a purple barrier, but how do I walk through that purple barrier? How do I get there? Is there a fan or something that's going to blow me into that little spot? What am I supposed to do here? I can create a hole here. But again, how am I reaching? If I could get into this space. There's something I am fundamentally... No, there's a box. There's a box. That's why those walls exist there, because the box lets me... The box lets me step over them. I'm being a dingus. Overcomplicating things. So the box will allow us to... Now that we have the box, I can set this... I can set this here, and I can put the box here. That's what we're meant to do, because now I can jump over. Got it. So when I'm in here... I want to be jamming what? What do I want to be jamming? I don't necessarily need to jam this. What I probably want to be doing is using the driller here and then jamming that force field on the other side, right? I hadn't noticed that before, but there is like there's a little burn marks. There's little burn marks that kind of disappear slowly as you take away the driller. So now we can jump in here. Of course, and jam that. Is that the solution? We still need a blue source, don't we? But that's okay, because we don't need this door open anymore. We just go here. No, we don't need that open. But we do need a blue source. Oh. This actually worked out kind of fortunately. Not quite, though. But we can do this if I bring the box out. That's how we get to... Let's keep the connections. I think it's fallen into place. So let's bring the box out here, and we'll use the box to keep this open. And now we can send this back over here. And we just fortunately had that driller hole. Also, it does two things. It allows you to jam this guy while also bringing the blue through to this connector or this receiver. Nice.
I admire your persistence, 1K.
Gotta solve all the puzzles. There's no other option. I don't know how y'all... I don't know who would want to skip puzzles. What happens if you do this Prometheus terminal afterward? Let me just see here. You can restart the puzzle? It's kind of cool. This fire has already been freed. Seek the light elsewhere. So you can actually reset the puzzle that way. You could maybe also reset it using X. We can try that here at the next puzzle. Let's flip the switch on 7. Flip the switch here. And... oh, you know what I just realized? We did not see these switches before, did we? In the previous world. I think I figured out what these switches are for. They are the Sphinx puzzle. The Sphinx puzzle, which is not this actually, this is Pandora, but the Sphinx puzzle has 2, 4, 7, and 8, because those are the puzzles that we want to turn on. So we want those to have their switches active. That must be what these are for. So let's go solve puzzle 8. We'll turn that switch on, and then we'll go deactivate 1, 3, 5, and 6. But we'll do this guy first. Number 8. Seesaw. What are we dealing with here with Seesaw? We've got a red source. Got a driller wall. We want... theoretically, we want red to open this up, which is easy enough, even without the driller. We can just do that. We also have blue. Seesaw suggests that we want the red source and blue source to be kind of toggling between each other, maybe. I need blue to get to the goal. And I can maybe get blue. Obviously, blue comes from over here. I think what they want us to do is the seesaw is connecting here and connecting here, and then just lining it up like this. And now what we can do is we take our driller through here, and we actually want the driller to be set up on this wall first. This is going to be our seesaw. It's going to start at this angle, or it's going to start on the red, but then we seesaw over to the blue. Not like that though. Like that. These are fun. These are fun. I'm enjoying the driller puzzles. Good stuff. Let's activate the switch here for number 8. And we'll get an update from Alcatraz.
I've been meaning to talk to you. This vision you had, the data stream overload. How did it feel?
I mean, my answer is not here. It was more surprising to me than anything. I think we'll answer that it was... I mean, it was just data is one answer. But also, I can't really explain it. It didn't really feel any of these other things. Maybe frightening is maybe close to surprise. Yeah, I think I can honestly say that it was a little frightening. just because that's kind of similar to surprise, which was my main reaction was just taken aback.
I'm not surprised. Your consciousness was being directly affected by an outside force. If it happens again, be careful. We're sturdier than our ancestors, but a mind is still a fragile thing.
And we can go ahead and check out this terminal real quick. The New Theology by George Bernard Shaw. The object of the whole evolutionary process is to realize God. That is to say, instead of the old notion that creation began with a God, a personal being who, being perfect, created something lower than himself, the aim of the New Theology is to turn that process the other way and to conceive of the force behind the universe as working up through imperfection and mistake to a perfect organized being, having the power of fulfilling its highest purposes. In a sense, there is no God as yet achieved, but there is that force at work making God, struggling through us to become an actual organized existence, enjoying what to many of us is the greatest conceivable ecstasy, the ecstasy of a brain, an intelligence, actually conscious of the whole, and with executive force capable of guiding it to a perfectly benevolent and harmonious end. That is where we are working to. I can see that resonates a little bit with me. I'm a little just unsure about exactly whether there is that purposeful, organized end goal, or if it's just chaos upon chaos. Neve. From Lives of the First Companions by Randolph. After these events, Neve decided to consult the writings of the ancients, but while philosophy and religion interested her, it was art in all its forms that came as a revelation. To her delight, she discovered that meaning was something constructed not purely out of logic or will, but that it could be found in stories as well. That even when the characters and events of a story were not factual, they had a validity and weight, as if they somehow were real after all. She was astonished that such a profound experience was freely available to all humans, but concerned that too few took advantage of it, so she set out to enrich the inner lives of her fellow citizens by promoting the arts, starting with the legacy of Gehenna. Neve sounds nice. I would love to meet her one day. She must know more about New Jerusalem art history than anyone. When we do, remind me to explain how to pronounce her name. The default settings in the language libraries are wrong. I also had to do that. I had to update my own language library to get there. Leviathan. Oh God, Hobbes' Leviathan. I've studied this a little bit a long time ago. A lot of my memory has faded though. Nature, the art whereby God has made and governs the world, is by the art of man, as in many other things. So in this also imitated, that it can make an artificial animal. For seeing life is but a motion of the limbs, the beginning whereof is in some principal part within. This is very hard to understand and also read at the same time. Why may we not say that all automata, engines that move themselves by springs and wheels, as does a watch, have an artificial life? For what is the heart but a spring, and the nerves but so many strings, and the joints but so many wheels, giving motion to the whole body, such as was intended by the artificer. Art goes yet further, imitating that rational and most excellent work of nature, man. For by art is created that great Leviathan, called a commonwealth, or state, in Latin civitas, which is but an artificial man, though of greater stature and strength than the natural, for whose protection and defense it was intended, and in which the sovereignty of an artificial soul, as giving life and motion to the whole. There's that number again, 5358. Lastly, the pacts and covenants by which the parts of this body politic were at first made, set together, and united, resemble that fiat, or the "let us make man," pronounced by God in the creation. It's obvious that Hobbes has read Stratton and is extrapolating the Talos Principle to the level of the state. But unlike Stratton, all he wishes for at the end of the day is a powerful ruler to control this machine, to tell him what to do. I think that's probably, I resonate more with that comment, because the idea that the state is some gigantic machine or human, it's a little bit like some of the logic that is criticized when people make critiques about the idea of a corporation being a person, right? In the same way, if you were going to have the same sort of fallacy or faulty way of thinking, that might also be applied there to that excerpt from Hobbes. That was the last one. So I guess we already shut off 3. So I guess that should activate our star. There we go. I don't know why I was avoiding walking in the water. The water so far is shallow. We don't have to worry about swimming like we were warned by Neath. But there's our first Sphinx star. Solve one Sphinx monument.
Every answer leads to another question. The last answer leads to the first question.
I have no idea what the hell you are talking about. The Sphinx, I think, is probably going to forever confuzzle me. We'll try to make sense of things eventually, but for now, we want to keep exploring. There is a question mark here that I haven't done yet. What is this? Another terminal. Okay, another terminal. Grab this one as well. Electrosphere audio recording. Nice and short terminal. I like those. Let's check this one out.
While exploring the forest, I came across a site of primal force. A beautiful stag, standing on a hill silhouetted against the setting sun. It appeared like a messenger from some divine natural power, perhaps from Gaia herself. Even to a being such as myself, less susceptible to manipulation by instincts and hormones, it was clearly a moment of revelation. In such moments, we are told to avert our eyes. But what if we do not? What will we discover if we look more closely? If we could speak to the stag, what wisdom would it have to offer? The answer is none. The stag is an animal of overwhelming stupidity, driven only by fear, hunger, and lust. There is no abyss for us to plunge into behind this revelation. Rather, the revelation is as flat and unreal as the plywood walls of a film set.
So I'm thinking that maybe we need to shoot green at this. That's maybe how we get green over to the other star. So I guess we might need to resolve this one. It looks like once you've solved the puzzles, these force fields are actually just deactivated. I think I just realized that, which is kind of nice. If you wanted to reset it, I suppose you could use the terminal there, but it does give you nice access to everything that you've already gained access to once. So if we hook that up, we hook that green up, now we should have access to green on the other side of the map, but I don't think it still doesn't go directly to the star. So we need to see how we get, hello, hi friend. We need to see how are we going to get, how do we get you, where is the last star? Over here? There it is. It's within line of sight, but how do I actually get, I need a connector, don't I? So far, I have not seen any equipment on the outside of puzzles, but maybe I don't actually. Maybe we go inside of one of the ones we've done before, and we just grab a connector from in there. I can see this from here, and I can see Pandora. Just need to back up a little bit. Boom. Nice, okay. Not too bad. Not too complicated at all. I think so far, that's what I'm seeing about the game, or feeling about the game in general. The difficulty has not... Like, I can remember some of the early stars in World A.
The hunter does not hunt because he is hungry. He hunts because he revels in death.
Some of those early stars in World A were really baffling. But I also, I didn't like, this thing right here, this idea of thinking of using one of these connectors from inside the puzzle to relay the signal over here. That didn't really easily occur to me in the first game. It was not something when I first played, I wasn't attuned to that sort of thinking. So having played the first game maybe has prepared me for these sorts of stars. What do you make of this Miranda?
Going on what little we have, honestly, she reminds me of myself when I'd just been born. I came out from the dam at night. and the sky was full of stars. I felt a reverence then, an almost ecstatic connection to the sublime. The universe seemed like a miracle, and to exist within it was the greatest possible honor. That view was tempered in time, but I've always tried to hold on to as much of it as I could.
That is an interesting thing that we haven't really talked about. Another big difference between these robots and their progenitors is that when they're born, they're essentially adults. We read that piece last time talking about those messy parts of, you know, people growing through childhood, through adolescence, and how they're just like these chaotic beings. And then it takes, you know, years and years and years to get to any sense of maturity. Hello again. But in our case, in the robot's case, we're just adults more or less right out of the box. And so having those sensations of, you know, coming into the world for the first time, seeing the world, but having like the faculties of a fully grown adult, adjusting to all of that, it would be such a different experience that I'm not even sure I could even comprehend. Because there would be so many things, right? Flowers, mountains. You know, if you were born in a place that had natural beauty, getting to soak all that in right off of the bat and being able to, you know, fully structure thoughts around it. What a remarkable experience that would be.
I can't stop thinking about Miranda. A new person not born in New Jerusalem? Can you imagine that? I wonder what it's like to be her.
Probably can't necessarily say lonely, because maybe there are others like her, and we've only met her so far. But I'd say she's probably not that different based on what we know at the moment.
How do you mean?
I mean, she had a similar appearance. I barely spent any time in New Jerusalem, and I'm not that weird. Says who? There's a common baseline to all rational beings. Everyone has the same problems. This isn't quite the answer that I was going for. I guess we'll pick this one, though.
But doesn't our environment influence who we are? Our values, our sense of meaning? You were born into New Jerusalem at this specific point in time as the completion of the goal. Doesn't that affect who you are in a unique way?
That stuff does have an effect. There's no doubt about that. I guess we're sort of getting at the nature versus nurture question here. But I guess I would probably err on that stuff being more superficial. Not completely superficial, but compared to our deeper self, that feels like it has a little more weight.
So you think our personality is set in stone?
That is not what I'm saying. That's part of what I don't like about these sorts of, you know, choosing these sort of set answers. It was the thing with Milton that was kind of frustrating at times, is that I don't, my idea or my true answer is not really represented by any of the options that you're given. But either way, I do believe there is a, no, but it's up to us to determine who we become. That's actually probably the closer answer.
I want to believe that, but I'm not sure it's possible to always remain unaffected. Sometimes things happen and they just change you, whether you want to or not.
What do you make of these labs?
They're very different from the rest of these structures in that they serve a clear purpose. Everything else is kind of surreal, but the labs are places where people lived and worked. I don't know what that means, but I think it means something.
See, I don't even know how you know that. I feel like you're reading a lot into the situation based on a very little bit of information that we have. What do you think the towers are for?
Maybe they're for powering up the megastructure? Or maybe they just open it, like keys. Why? No idea. But aren't they gorgeous? Just incredible feats of engineering.
I agree, they're beautiful.
I don't know who built this place, but whoever they were, they must have had a purpose. Making something so beautiful feels like a statement of intent.
Okay, I think I've explored this area as much as I'm going to for now. We have found everything on the compass. All the question marks have been filled in. And we only have the one the tank collectible in our research. I don't know if there's supposed to be more than that. There were 2 in the first area, but that was all that I was able to find here. For now, though, I think it's time to move on to doing some Tetromino Bridge puzzles. Significantly less frustrating so far than the some of the Tetris puzzles from the first game, but we'll see. We might get to a point, we might get to a difficulty level where these start to be just as frustrating. All depends. It all depends on, you know, the first puzzle that I approached was I had to you know, decode what was going on with the green and the red tiles on each of the pieces, and thinking about how that works into the structure of the bridge. Now that I have done one of those, maybe we're a little bit more ready to take things on here. A little bit of guesswork here, admittedly, at the start. A little bit of just kind of like, okay, I just want to keep positioning myself to the center and see if it works out. And so far, that is the case. So there you go. Those are cool, I guess. I don't know yet if I prefer those to the original Tetromino puzzles, but good enough. Let's ride our elevator once again here and see if we have another encounter with the Sphinx. Or is one of the other figures going to greet us? Looks like Pandora this time.
Halt, creature of clay. You have strayed from your garden and entered a domain that is beyond your ken. Turn back now, before you harm yourself and others.
I don't think I'm going to be doing that. That is not within my programming. We have to explore the mysteries. You of all people should know. Curiosity, and maybe that's why she's trying to warn us. I opened the box. I already know what happens when you get too curious. Tell us about yourself, though.
I am, like you, another lost child of Hephaestus in the kingdom of Artemis. But though I am lost, I know my purpose. To stand between you and the flame.
She also called us a creature of clay, which I think is part of the, at least one version of the mythology, is that when Prometheus created man, it was actually Athena. It was clay that he was molding, and then Athena like breathed on them or something, and breathed life into them, something along those lines. So that's an interesting connection there in the fact that the founder is called Athena. Are you like the Sphinx?
The Sphinx speaks in riddles and knows nothing but mysteries.
Yeah, I can't make heads or tails of her.
Questions, but no answers.
Not my favorite. You seem much more inviting. But we were invited here, not by you specifically. Prometheus did it. If we can think of you all as individuals.
Prometheus had no authority to summon you. He is rash and foolish and given to trickery, but his schemes lead only to ruin. Therefore heed my warning. The flame is not for you.
I think the one that I like the most here is, we're not going to leave just because you had a bad experience with a magic box.
You speak in jest, as Prometheus is wont to, and like him, you are a fool.
You know, well, that's just like your opinion, man. Just give me my laser. I want my big laser time, blue laser time in this instance. There we go. Wooded Plateau activated.
Things are there?
I think that was Pandora, which matches the other one being Prometheus.
They seem to be locked in some kind of conflict.
Might be wise to avoid getting caught in the crossfire until we understand what these entities actually are.
I kind of like that idea, Alcatraz. I'm really not sure what to make of any of these folks. They all seem a little bit sus to me. It's fun putting together all the puzzles and pressing forward. And that is going to be where we wrap up this installment of Talos Principle 2. The Wooded Plateau, another pretty cool area. I enjoyed the driller mechanic, although I was really hoping that we were just going to be able to drill all the way through every single wall ever. And maybe that will be a thing at some point in terms of bringing stuff out into the world. I feel like maybe that might be one of the later mechanics, is they might have driller walls that are placed at the edge of a puzzle so that you can actually take stuff outside. Maybe not. Maybe that's a little too world breaking for what they want to do here. But I'm excited to see. We've also gotten a preview of the other new mechanic, some sort of inverter, translating blue from red or red to blue. We'll see what that is all about in the next level. We also saw this Miranda. Miranda invaded our thoughts, which is kind of scary as hell. So we'll have to see what new stuff unfolds next time as we make our way to area number 3. I don't know what it's called yet, but we're going to be heading there and checking out the new puzzles next time. Thank you all once again very much for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next one.